Hey everyone, thank you for supporting the channel to see 1,000 subscribers. As a gift mentioned in the video acknowledging the milestone, I made a new BattleTech lore video to finally complete the mainline clan series and tackle the Wars of Reaving. I want to let you know ahead of time that there's a lot of moving parts to this video and a lot of events overlap each other. Throughout the video, I repeat specific events to tell you guys that everything is happening at once and to tell you guys where the story threads lead. If things are confusing, I greatly apologize, but after 15 hours of writing and retooling this entire script, having everything said chronologically made everything very segmented, jarring, and ended up doing the very opposite of making it cohesive and understandable. It might take listening a couple times, but everything is here, presented, and everything I say is all tied together once all the separate threads are tied up neatly that lead to the start of the Wars of Reaving. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. It's a long one. After the annihilation of Clan Smoke Jaguar, the clans were asked a question to which they had no true answer, which was, what now? Reverting to what the clans did best, which was fighting each other to recoup their losses and resources and strengthen themselves for another go at the Inner Sphere, the Possession Wars began. Little did anyone know that within the decade that followed the destruction of the Smoke Jaguars would come a sweeping change to clan society as a whole that would permanently separate the clans to spheroid and homeworld clans. This change was known as the Wars of Reaving. It's the early 3060s after the annihilation of Clan Smoke Jaguar. The clans were still recovering from their losses due to the Great Refusal against the war with the Inner Sphere, more specifically, the Crusader philosophy. While the Fedcom Civil War sparked in the Inner Sphere, the clans were rebuilding against themselves in a short minor period of time and events known as the Possession Wars. Like any society in wartime, technology and industry would go into a state of development as newer technologies from the clans were seen, fought over, won, and used. Newer generation Omnimechs were also developed and used. By 3065, most clans had recovered enough to be stable and support a renewed war effort against the Inner Sphere. After events in the Inner Sphere led to the fall of the Second Star League, and the Truce of Tukiad coming due in 3067, the clans in the homeworlds began the discussion on how best to act with this news. It was quickly decided that all clans would gather for a new invasion of the Inner Sphere, one that the Sphere would never win or recover from. The Grand Council moved to elect a new Ilkhan, which would be Clanfire Mandrel's Sawkhan, Garrett Sains. Garrett Sains of Clanfire Mandrel was a Rystar, or rising star, within the clan, meaning he was what we might consider to be a prodigy. Serving as the star captain during Operation Revival, his impressive combat record was often challenged by trials of grievances and refusals, which was caused by heated behaviors, rash impulses, and decisions. He did, however, become more wise with age and rank, but never truly grew past those tendencies. Rising to the rank of Sawkhan in 3055, he often voted in line with the Homeworld Crusaders unless otherwise suggested by his Khan, Amanda Carroll. After Amanda Carroll resigned as Khan of Clanfire Mandrel in 3066, after receiving a vote of no confidence as the leader, Garrett Sains was expected to replace her. However, he was blocked from it due to backroom politics from his own clan. After a messy series of trials and merges between warriors in the clan and support from Clan Blood Spirit, Garrett Sains would secure a position but not given any real power. In December of 3067, the Clan Grand Council assembled to discuss the news of the Second Star League collapsing and what to do now that they were gone. It was clear they were all itching for invasion. Many reasons can be speculated, as most clans saw the Second Star League as false, an abomination, or some monstrous entity due to the fact that the Star League was not made or guided by the clans, whom were the descendants of the original Star League defense force. Another possible reason was an act of revenge, or true test of strength. As the original invasion was fought using their code of honor, this time there was no intention to give the Inner Sphere any quarter, mercy, or restrict any other clan from fighting. This war would end the Inner Sphere, with the homeworld clans picking the Inner Sphere to pieces and raising a Star League from the ashes of another. Either way, invasion was their goal, and every clan wanted to take part. As a result, a new leader was needed, and a motion to elect an Ilkhan was put forward. Clan Blood Spirit saw Khan Troy Bouquez nominated Garrett Sains for the position. Garrett and almost every other Khan had the same level of surprise at this motion. However, Garrett failed to impress the council, which led to a stagnant motion. 2 others were nominated for a total of 3 candidates. None of the 3 received enough votes for a definitive election. Despite this, Garrett saw this event as something else entirely. What everyone else would see as a massive inflation of his ego, he would see as a call to service. Because he was nominated, he not only thought this was proof he could lead a clan, but could lead all the clans, and to victory at that. He would shift his focus to pursue this goal for the rest of his life. As fighting reached a peak in the homeworlds in 3069, Clan Fire Mandrel's stability and power as a clan began to weaken, threatening their existence as a clan, beginning to fracture from within. As Mandrel leadership pushed for clan unity, they managed to put on a mask of a strong unified clan to the others, but in reality, Mandrel was fractured and breaking, barely holding together, and with more fracturing continuing to grow. Sains would continue puffing his chest towards Clan Coyote, as they were often accusing him and Clan Fire Mandrel on the verge of shattering, building and drawing on the strength of his own political power base in the Grand Council, allied with Clan Blood Spirit and Clan Goliath Scorpion. Through some manipulations and dealings, Clan Coyote managed to secure a position on Mandrel holdings, finally seeing firsthand how much of a facade the Mandrels were putting up. In a long, bloody battle that eliminated over 20 blood-named warriors within Clan Fire Mandrel, Garrett Sains was forced to cut a deal with Clan Diamond Shark, trading dropships and jump ships for storehouses, bases, equipment, and Diamond Shark saw Khan's vote for him as Ilkhan in the Grand Council. But because of this trade, Sains would pay an extreme price for the loss of transportation. In February of 3071, the Grand Council convened after the severity of the Jihad reached a new threat level, discussing the Blakist attack on Clan Wolf's Inner Sphere capital of Tamar. This spurred the election of an Ilkhan to the pressing moment. Clan Staradder and Clan Steel Viper voted for Garrett Sains, but not because he was fit, but because they could inject their own candidates after pointing out Garrett would be in fact a terrible choice and plant their perfect candidate from their own number instead. The deciding vote came from Clan Diamond Shark Khan Barbara Sennett, who wanted to prevent the Snake Alliance from owning the Grand Council. Garrett Sains of Clan Fire Mandrel had been elected Ilkhan. This next part of the story requires one more look back at a past event, Clan Staradder's rise to power. Clan Staradder were noted for several various traits that encompassed their extremely neutral ideology that followed both Crusader and Warden tendencies as required, rather than one or the other. Their pragmatism was one such quality that some other clans envied. Instead of throwing themselves to worship the Kerensky father and son as deities, they saw themselves as military leaders. While firmly placing their warrior caste on top, relationships between warriors and the other castes were positively strong due to an understanding and tolerant culture within the clan itself, creating a solid, unified clan. Clan Staradder even provided a voice for the lower castes to have a voice in clan politics with the position called Adder's Adjutant, created by Khan Truscott to recognize the importance of the other castes to support the warriors. The adjutant served as a leader of the civilian castes and passed issues and concerns to the Adder Khans, a relationship that was strong and respected and relied upon for their entire existence. The most important trait of the Staradders was unity. The easygoing and almost casual attitude towards others in the clan created an air of family, much like the atmosphere of Clan Ghostbear. Friendly sparring, competitions, and games were frequent, with politics being approached much like Clan Snowraven, that being loyalty to a warrior's unit first, Bloodhouse next, then the clan. Grudges, resentment, and other internal issues were unheard of within Clan Starradder, as no one in the clan wanted to jeopardize the state of their clan. This attitude extended to the rampant xenophobia other clans exhibited. In Clan Starradder, bondsmen and freeborn were welcome to prove their ability, and if they succeeded, they would be accepted by the clan with no prejudice towards their origins. Unlike most clans, Clan Starradder never worshipped their totem animal with elaborate rituals or ceremonies, but that changed with younger adder warriors beginning the practice of taming actual star adders to display on their uniform, and even bring them into battle, claiming them as pets. Now you know what Clan Starradder is, and we can begin as to why they're important. Not long after the refusal war between clans Wolf and Jade Falcon, Star Adder Khan Cassius and Buta discovered evidence of a close relationship between leadership of Clan Burok and the Dark Caste. The Dark Caste being what would we see as a caste of criminals. If Salama were the dishonored fighting to die with honor chasing bandits, Dark Caste were below that, considered to be subhuman and exterminated with extreme prejudice to almost all clans. This proof of heresy even came with proof that Burok Khan Jocelyn Siddiq actively covering up her predecessor's involvement with the Dark Caste. Buta brought this information to the Grand Council in February of 3059 and petitioned for a trial of absorption to be commenced immediately. It was granted. The trial of absorption kicked off very well for the Star Adders, killing both Burok Khans and a galaxy commander whom were involved with the cover-up. This success was interrupted by Clan Blood Spirit's arrival to the absorption, keen on absorbing the Buroks for themselves as the Blood Spirits and Buroks were hostile rivals to each other. Rather annoyed by this, the Adders and Buroks temporarily allied to fight off the Blood Spirits. The fighting ended with huge losses for both sides, with Clan Starradder losing 3 galaxies worth of forces, Burok almost 4, and the Blood Spirits getting the worst of it with 5 out of their 7 galaxies they committed completely destroyed with no gain. After that, the trial resumed with little to no resistance from the Buroks, mostly out of shame from what came to light of their former commander's actions. With the successful absorption of Clan Burok, Clan Starradder now possessed the largest military and second largest warship fleet of any clan. Their status was further enhanced during the Great Refusal in Stronamecti, where the Star Adders were the only clan, aside from Clan Jade Falcon, to best their Inner Sphere opponents. With the annihilation of Clan Smoke Jaguar and Clan Ghost Bear's relocation to the Inner Sphere, Clan Starradder was now the mightiest clan out of all active, even ones in the Inner Sphere. Now that we have established the clan power structure in the homeworlds, we now return to Garrett Sains' election to Ilkhan. Sains' first motion as Ilkhan was to address the issue of the Great Refusal, primarily to refute the results of said refusal. Angered at their plans being halted, the Star Adders and their entire power base voted to uphold the results of the Great Refusal, and implicated that not adhering to the results would invoke the Star Adders' wrath, successfully causing the other clans to be very careful what they do and say in regards to the Great Refusal and the actions that would break it. Thus, the Great Refusal remained as it was. Disgusted by the political madhouse, Scorpion Khan Ariel Suvorov declared a trial refusal against Garrett Sains' election as Ilkhan, accusing him as an incompetent leader with delusions of glory, as showcased by his inability to win over the other clans to refute the Great Refusal. Left with the choices of accepting or losing what little respect he had left, Sains met Suvorov's forces in a 3-day campaign. After the fighting, Sains had died in the trial along with most of his command. Because of this, Garrett Sains would be made a joke, as his term as Ilkhan was the second shortest, after Elias Krishel of Clan Jade Falcon. What happened next would spark the idea that would force the clans into a new age. After Garrett Sains' demise, Clan Cloud Cobra rectified an older trial that was just as rare as a trial of annihilation, a trial of Reaving. A trial of Reaving, or Reaving, is the practice of trimming down the amount of blood heritages associated with a given blood name. Once a tool of the eugenics program, it eventually became a punishment and evolved into a political weapon. Citing his failure as Ilkhan and in defending the right to the post, Cloud Cobra prepared for the Reaving. In a slim victory, blood-named warrior Mick Sains managed to defend Garrett's legacy from Reaving, but the victory would turn out moot, as the clan Fire Mandrel would see their end only 4 short years later in the coming chaos. Once again left without an Ilkhan, another vote was put forth for someone to ascend to the station. The one who would was a Khan from clan Steel Viper, a man who would become one of the most infamous figures in history, one who would commit atrocities on par with the usurpation of the Star League by Stefan Amaris and the Kantari's massacre at the hands of the Draconis Combine. His name was Bret Andrews, or as history will know him, the Bloody Ilkhan. Bret Andrews' story also comes in just shortly after the Refusal War. Their long-worn rivalry with Clan Jade Falcon was well known, and conflicts between them only got worse since Ilkhan Ulrich Kerensky had the two clans share an invasion corridor after the deaths of previous Ilkhan, Leo Showers. Bret Andrews begins in 3028, born late in the political century, serving in Operation Revival in 3051 to the war's end in 3052, remaining active in skirmishes and trials against Clan Jade Falcon. In all his fighting, he would come to see the savagery of the Inner Sphere seep in to corrupt the clans that entered it, and harbor a strong and deep xenophobia towards anything unclan-like. This would be the foundation for his reign as the Bloody Ilkhan. These affirmations came to a head in a trial of bloodright in 3068, 3 years after Bret Andrews became Khan of the Steel Vipers. A young warrior named Paul from the Matlov bloodline sought to achieve a blood name in a grand melee, but was dogged by Clan Jade Falcons' rigid protocols. Having lost faith in the Grand Council as a ruling body long ago, nothing was done on either end. Paul ended up missing the trial of bloodright due to various errors and delays, which prompted him to call for a trial refusal. To the shock of Andrews, he would watch as the young warrior's linebacker exploded without cause. Andrews would guess it was a fault caused intentionally, due to the nature of how, why, and when the explosion happened. Khan Hoskins of Steel Viper would urge Andrews to go to the Grand Council to bring attention to the outrage. Andrews would decline, saying the Grand Council would do nothing because they don't want to do anything. Andrews would remind himself of a taint foretold by Ulrich Kerensky that would grow and corrupt the clans, a taint that had to be purged. The rivalry between Jade Falcons and Vipers reached a new peak in 3069. Clashing against each other, the Vipers began seeing victory. Not long after, the Falcons called in the rest of their bid, which happened to include artillery. Shattering the Viper cluster with a very ragged binary surviving, the Falcons claimed victory over the Vipers in this skirmish. Angered beyond words, Bret Andrews stormed to the Grand Council, demanding justice be served against the Jade Falcons. The effort would be wasted, as the vote for action would be defeated, leaving nothing but bitterness and confirmation to Andrews that the Grand Council could no longer hold power in anything. Biding his time to strike, Andrews would call the Jade Falcons to attention on Exodus Day, the 5th of November in 3069. Accusing the Falcons of being tainted beyond redemption of the Inner Sphere, demanded their expulsion from clan space. The vote was casted down almost immediately by the Grand Council, but the result was expected by the Viper Khans. Excusing themselves from the Grand Council, Andrews stated the Vipers would be taking matters into their own hands from this point forward. 2 days later, Jade Falcon homeworld of Ironhold came under attack by Viper Alpha Galaxy and a large fleet of warships. Demolishing Falcon formations on Ironhold, fighting broke out on all the other Falcon holdings as they too came under attack by frontline Viper forces. Evicting them from all their holdings on Eden, Tokasha, Huntress, Barcella, Glory, and Lum, Khan Andrews led a Viper Keshik to Stranamekti, slaughtering any Jade Falcon that defended their enclave there. In the clearing smoke from 3 months of fighting the Falcons, all holding the Falcons had in the homeworlds was nil, effectively forcing them out, to where which the Falcons now settle, their occupation zone in the Inner Sphere. It is here the Falcons will stay, rebuild, and continue their crusade for as long as they exist. With the great success of not only defeating an invading clan, but a long-hated enemy, the Steel Vipers decided to test their newly gained strength in the dealings of the Grand Council. March of 3070, the Diamond Sharks came to the Grand Council regarding the destruction of Galadon V in the Draconis Combine by orbital bombardment at the hands of Clan Snow Raven. This act, which killed billions and made the Kantari's massacre look like a playground fight, inflamed most of the homeworld clans. due to the death of billions, not only by bombardment, but by a bioengineered plague made by the Star League Defense Force in the 2700s. Star Adder Saucon Dante Truscott chastised the Snow Ravens for acting on bad intelligence and committing great dishonor in the memory of the founder, Nicholas Kerensky. After the well-said speech, Viper Saucon Nicole Hoskins demanded a trial of absorption on Clan Snow Raven to be carried out by the Steel Vipers. Their Star Adder allies were livid at this turn and called upon their entire power base to quash this motion. As expected, the motion failed. Then, Bret Andrews called a vote of no confidence in the Ground Council as a ruling body. This would cause the election of entirely new khans for all clans. While supported by the Adders, Cobras, Scorpions, and Hellions, the vote also failed the necessary majority with a lot of key absences that would cement fate. While it seems like the Star Adders are against the Vipers, it is important to remember the Adders are merely guiding, and the Vipers' constant attempts to make sweeping changes is well outside that guidance. The alliance of clans Star Adder, Steel Viper, and Cloud Cobra run strong. Leaving in disgust with his allies, Andrews was determined to carry out justice against the Snow Ravens in their abandonment of the Honor Road, the Clan Code of Honor, that which made clans clan. The Snake Alliance prepared a coordinated offensive against all of Snow Raven's holdings at once, except those on Lum. After a due bidding process, Steel Vipers won the rights to assault Brim and Hellgate alongside the Cobras, and Bearclaw with the Adders. The Vipers took all objectives, and even extending to secure enclaves, such as a summoner mech facility on Bearclaw that the Adders were unable to spend the forces to capture, due to the fact the Star Adders were fighting against the Blood Spirits and Fire Mandrels at this time. The fighting was put on hold when Snow Raven Khan Lynn McKenna came to the Grand Council with proof of the Diamond Shark's dealings with the Federated Suns, evidence provided by the Outworlds Alliance Intelligence Agency, evidence of Diamond Sharks trading clan technology with the Fed Suns for mineral and trade rights. Andrews would intend to deal with the Sharks the same way as the Ravens, but support for this aggression evaporated as the Cobras and Adders halted their efforts to recover and secure the holdings they gained rather than overextend themselves. Sending out supplementary forces to take up the fighting against the Snow Ravens where his allies had been saw success at first, but failed on capturing many objectives. Andrews noticed the fighting turned Desgra as the Diamond Sharks used physical and other dishonorable tactics, again seeing proof of the Inner Sphere taint. Seeing stiff resistance from the Diamond Sharks and in shortage of supplies and transport, Andrews and the Vipers revealed their secret weapon, which was a massive battleship called the CSV Paragard Zalman. Appearing in the Stranomecti system, it engaged the Sharks' Black Diamond naval star, destroying the two largest ships in a single pass. The other Shark ships fled the system with various states of damage. Pleased with the performance, the Vipers then took the ship to Lum, engaging the elite Snow Raven battle fleet. While having plenty of ships on hand, the Ravens ended up losing with only a handful of surviving ships, which fled, and would meet up with remaining Snow Ravens in the Inner Sphere, eventually joining the Outworlds Alliance. Suffering from a critical shortage of supplies and dropships, the Steel Vipers went into a state of remission as they rebuild from the intense interclan warfare. With the Jade Falcons and Snow Ravens evicted from the homeworlds, the Diamond Sharks were also packing up and heading to the Inner Sphere permanently in a few years. Riding the very tall wave of political and military success, Bret Andrews' ambition did not go unnoticed. Now universally hated by the invading clans, their power in the Grand Council began to fade, leading way for the Steel Vipers to take their power. While his most obvious enemies were known to him that had been dealt with, new unseen enemies would make themselves known. Fearing his ambition and the Snake Alliance in general, Clan Coyote Khan Silas Kufal noticed their motions and took action against them. Unknown to the Coyotes, they had just become the primary target of the Steel Vipers. Now we come full circle. All the events up to now have led to this point. We now meet all the threads from the Star Adders, Garrett Sains' short reign, the Snake Alliance, Bret Andrews and the Steel Vipers, and every other important event in clan history has come up to this very point. We arrive at the Clan Ground Council, in February of 3071, where the council discusses the nuclear attacks conducted by the Ward of Blake on Clan Wolf holdings in the Inner Sphere, the Crusader Wolves specifically. While reports were favorable in the sense of recovery, Clan Wolf Khan Vladimir Ward presented evidence and images and videos detailing the catastrophic damage and smoking ruins. Something that was left out, however, was the destruction of a Clan Wolf genetic repository, as sharing the information a repository was made in the Inner Sphere would mean the death of Clan Wolf at the hands of the homeworld clans. It is now the news of such attacks opened the discussion of a new clan invasion. This led to the election of Garrett Sains from Clan Fire Mandrel. The vote was down to 1, between Sains and Staradder Khan, Cassius and Buta. Sains was elected as the deciding vote came from Diamond Shark Khan Barbara Sennett. Furious, their ploy backfired. The adders in their power base blocked any movement for the renewed action against the Inner Sphere. Garrett Sains met his demise 3 days later. The trial of Reaving would be conducted against his blood name and successfully defended, as mentioned earlier. By this time, the Wolves, as with the Diamond Sharks and Snow Ravens, were packing up and intending to leave the Kerensky cluster forever. Sensing the oncoming political shitstorm that was an understatement, even Clan Hell's Horses was beginning to pack up in secret. Their destination was also the Inner Sphere. While gathering all remaining homeworld assets on Tranquil, Khan Vlad Ward of Clan Wolf would enter the Grand Council one last time. It was this day, April 15th on 3071, that Clan Wolf was abjured from clan space and records. Ward mocked the Khans after the decision, which angered Bret Andrews enough to call for a trial of annihilation against the Wolves on the spot. The vote failed, of course, and the Wolves' longtime ally, Clan Coyote, won the right against Clan Steel Viper to carry out the abjuration of Clan Wolf, which was, in a sense, Clan Coyote seeing their old friends out the door, as the Coyotes suspected Vipers would engage in foul play if they had carried it out. This, however, would not stop Bret Andrews from claiming former holdings of the Wolves, and these engagements would keep the Vipers busy as the bill came due to the clans. December 1st, 3071, the Grand Council met on Stronamekti, discussing usual matters for the session. After bookkeeping was done, Khan Andrews stood and delivered a rousing speech about refuting the Great Refusal. He would bring the vote to refute it to the council one last time. The motion was seconded by the Star Adders, promising to let the matter finally die if the vote was refused. All was planned, including Star Adder Khan Stanislav and Buta's declination of his nomination for the position of Ilkhan, whom deferred to Andrews. With only clans Diamond Shark, Hell's Horses, and Ice Hellion voting against, the Great Refusal was refuted. Next, a vote for Ilkhan was put forward. The vote was a success for Bret Andrews, with only a handful of clans opposing him. Ironically, those that voted against were clans the Vipers had been hounding for the past decade. Now Ilkhan Bret Andrews, his first action would change the clans forever. Called Reavings, this new action was the final product of Andrews' political beliefs regarding clan society. He wanted to purge the taint of the Inner Sphere from the clans if they were to succeed in a new invasion. He would move to purge any blood heritage present in the homeworlds associated with an invading clan that could be subject to the Reaving. The trial itself can be called upon by a pure clan warrior, and able to use any means at the warrior's disposal, and upon success, the blood heritage that was reaved was owned by the clan of the warrior whom called the Reaving. In the process, the taint would be removed from the genetics program, reverting all clan genetics to a pre-3050 state by eliminating all newer generations of warriors before their genetics could be used. To prove his resolve, Andrews called a trial of Reaving on Diamond Shark Sakon Angus Labov, whom was present. Angrily accepting, the trial carried out immediately, which proved fatal for Labov, as Andrews threw a knife hidden on his person, piercing the throat of the Diamond Shark, whom bled to death on the floor of the Ground Council chamber. Khan Bjorn Jorgensen of Clan Ghost Bear would state after the display this matter was beneath his clan's attention, and would depart. The next few days saw the Vipers issuing many Reavings on several blood names from clans Jade Falcon and Ghost Bear. The other Khans of clans Coyote and Star Adder were unusually quiet. Speculation led to the belief that they were coming to terms with what they just allowed to happen and what will happen in the times to come. As many prominent and exclusive blood rights were reaved, The targeted clans of Ilkhan Bret Andrews' will were hounded and severely weakened due to it. 2 days after Ilkhan Andrews' decree, 2 dropships belonging to the new frontline Clan Wolf Omicron Galaxy arrived at Stronamekti, taking control of the Kerensky Blood Chapel. When a final bid and open challenge for the revered Kerensky blood name came to be from Star Colonel Ramil Kerensky, the Wolves secretly smuggled the great Kerensky genetics away while fighting off challengers with success. In a ploy against the homeworlds, the Wolves destroyed the Kerensky Blood Chapel, while in reality, the genetic line was not destroyed with it. Stronamekti erupted into chaos as Wolf and Viper forces openly clashed with other clans joining the fray after. Survivors would be captured and executed by Viper forces. Clan Wolf infiltrators would also destroy any other copies of the Founder's genetic legacy, making the only existence of them safely in Clan Wolf possession. Only later, when in the Inner Sphere, would Khan Vlad Ward reveal the genetics of the Founder were safe. An emergency session of the Ground Council was called, with Clan Wolf being put up for trial of annihilation. With key absences, Ilkhan Andrews ordered Lore Master of the clans, Kale Pershaw, to keep the results secret. Pershaw held loyalty to clan law instead of the madness Andrews was spewing, informing his counterparts of the order to secrecy in clans Ghostbear and Jade Falcon. In preparations to depart Stronamekti, Pershaw was issued a trial of Reaving by Star Colonel Thomas Andrews from Steel Viper. Pershaw only bid himself and his prosthetic limb against Colonel Andrews. Mere moments later, Andrews was dead on the floor, shot by the laser pistol built into Pershaw's prosthetic arm. Despite not violating the rules of the trial, Ilkhan Andrews would order his clan to commit an orbital bombardment on Jade Falcon compounds, which leveled it and setting fires to other parts of the capital city on Stronamekti. Because of the chaos, more Reavings were conducted, causing more and more trials to be issued in a constant feud for bloodlines to be purified or owned. With other warships of clans distracted by the ensuing chaos, Last of Clans Jade Falcon and Ghostbear managed to jump out of the system, and with the fighting only increasing, both would finally remove themselves from clan space and set course for the Inner Sphere, never to return to Stronamekti or the homeworlds. With clans Ghostbear and Jade Falcon fully removed from the events of the homeworlds, Clan Wolf was following shortly behind, as their operation to secure the Founder's genetic legacy was a success. Elements of Clan Diamond Shark have already arrived in the Inner Sphere by 3071, with remnants being attacked and picked apart in clan space during this point in time. A majority of the clan would make it to the Inner Sphere. Clan Snowraven also had small holdings still left in clan space. With the departure of major clans, Andrews turned his attention away from them, stating for the record that the spheroid clans will have to purify themselves if they are to succeed, hoping by the time the pure clans return to the Inner Sphere, the spheroid clans will be pure and join them in the annihilation of the Inner Sphere. Specifically citing clans such as Goliath Scorpion, whom had absorbed the Iridani light horse that remained on Huntress after the Smoke Jaguars were annihilated, Blood Spirits, and other clans involved with the false refusal that were judged to be weak and impure. While holding station as Ilkhan, Andrews always identified as Khan of Steel Vipers, using his entire Toman to enforce his will, almost always to his clan's gain and advantage. Unafraid of force issues with strength, such displays would be seen when Andrews committed multiple reavings of Fire Mandrel blood heritages after an orbital bombardment went astray, as the Mandrels ended up destroying a lot of collateral on Stronamekti. Wishing to delay the spread of information of an annihilation vote against Fire Mandrel, Andrews ordered Starradder Khan and Buta to sever all communications within clan space, including all communications going out to the Inner Sphere, and ordered the destruction of the last Clan Wolf holding on Tranquil, a task completed by the end of the year in 3071. This massive fighting and bloodshed would become all too common in the homeworlds for the next few years. With many clans taking advantage of the Reavings for their own, the Staradders would be able to commit to the war they always wanted with Clan Blood Spirit, their mortal enemies, as well as Clan Coyote, both clans of which quietly opposed the Ilkhan. A movement began where the ruling caste would belong to the Scientist caste, as the genetic legacies for warriors to decide through wars and politics was the desecration of Nicholas Kerensky's true vision of clan society. Many of the vocal critics would later to be found as part of a secret cabal of scientists known as the Society. The Society, using devastating new and advanced technology, calling upon their allies of the Dark Caste and a secretly reborn Clan Barak, committed to multiple assaults using Reavings as armor and further shaking the ground the homeworld clans walked on. Assisting with this was the collapse of the HBG network caused by a virus in the system and jump ships suffering failures as well. Other lower castes and all clans began to rebel and take action against the ruling warriors. Despite the strong call to arms, clan life was strongly ingrained among the people to be swayed of their loyalty. It was still enough to gather enough people to supply forces to fight, most of them consisting of the true-born population from the lower castes rising up. Most worlds were out of communication by 3072, with large forces from clans and other origins taking worlds from each other across the Krensky cluster. One large force was a bandit caste, aided by scientists and bolstered by Clan Coyote's forces. Entire worlds fell to these bandits over the next 2 years. On the Fire Mandrel world of Shadow, warriors from Clan Coyote turned against Viper forces, and Goliath Scorpions were reaving Mandrel blood heritages, mainly of the Saints' heritage. The Steel Viper galaxy was eventually destroyed by Coyote forces, the destruction of which would be unheard of for years due to the HBG blackout. Meanwhile, with Clan Nice Hellion, their efforts against the other clans would fail from the start. One factor was their alliance, or one should say, lack thereof, with Hell's Horses. Despite talk of cooperations, the Hellions did anything but that. Not bothering to share battle plans or speak to the horses for assistance, they angered their partners. Another factor was their overextension, dividing already thin forces even thinner. Taking what remaining of forces into the inner sphere after being shattered by Operation Ice Storm in 3072, the Hellions began raiding the newly formed Ghost Bear Dominion. Their fate would be sealed when Clan Goliath Scorpion would come into contact with the Broken Clan, stating they were strong enough to absorb them without fighting. The Hellions were left with few options. They would be absorbed fully by Clan Goliath Scorpion that year. Also in 3072, Clan Star Adder formed a galaxy of former Barak warriors, but these Barak turned Adders would take the opportunity to resurrect their former clan. They started by killing any Adder supporters in the galaxy to ensure loyalty and domination. Fighting Clan Star Adder to prove their viability, they succeeded and moved to pillage former Diamond Shark holdings for dropships, jump ships, and any other equipment to restart. Through all their efforts, the Baraks would finally meet their true end in 3074 at the hands of Clan Star Adder. The end of Clan Fire Mandrel would echo the failings of Garrett Sains, as the individual strength would wane. Some Mandrels were absorbed by other clans, while others were outright destroyed. The last of the Fire Mandrels would fall in 3073 against Dark Caste and Society forces, as they captured enclaves and holdings belonging to the Mandrels. With little choice left, survivors chose to surrender, and would be utterly destroyed by Clan Star Adder in 3075. During this time, Bret Andrews was well unaware of the state of the clans in the cluster because of the lack of communication. The Steel Vipers were sitting defensively, rarely contacting allies for information, otherwise remaining silent. He would declare any citizen supporting the rebellion to be subject to instant annihilation, despite not knowing what was happening elsewhere. The Viper Scientist caste was close-knit and appeared unaffected by the society, and as a consequence to this, the Vipers would never understand what was happening to the rest of the clans, as the caste rebellion raged on, with the Society and Dark Caste starting a new crusade against their oppressors. Atrocities were becoming commonplace throughout the Wars of Reaving, as clan life imploded, bloodlines reaved, and destruction on a scale only dreamed of by the Crusaders in Operation Revival. The Krensky cluster was on fire, and no one knew it. Keeping with his narcissism, Ilkhan Andrews was only concerned with matters that involved his clan, issuing strikes when an opportunity came about. One such strike was committed to Clan Snow Raven in 3073. The result of this strike would leave the Ravens on life support, and the Vipers capturing a lot of naval Isorla from the Ravens. Andrews would be pleased, as the Ravens would have significantly less to use against his future invasion of the Inner Sphere, should the Ravens use what they have to defend the sphere. In 3073, a Clan Coyote fleet arrived at New Kent, issuing a trial reaving against Ilkhan Bret Andrews for doing nothing to help the clans in the current crisis he was unaware of, through both lack of information and narrow vision, only caring about his clan. In a duel that lasted no more than 5 minutes, the Clan Coyote leader of the incursion was killed. Ordering his intelligence network to uncover the extent of the clans, as mentioned by the Coyote, he was informed many worlds throughout the cluster were in a sorry state of conflict with themselves and with the Dark Caste/Society forces. Instead of acting reasonably, he saw the Ice Hellions in a critical state of weakness and ordered Viper forces to seize much of their holdings. With a quiet meeting between the Vipers and the Snake Alliance, a vote was made for the Vipers to absorb Clan Ice Hellion, again, also done quietly. Their efforts were interrupted by Clan Coyote forces who put off stiff resistance with help from the Society. Taking heavy losses, the Vipers would emerge victorious. The populace was discovered to have severe signs of genetic modifications and mutations, which caused some degree of concern for Andrews. With the reality that a lot of Viper holdings had been lost, Andrews assembled a large fleet and moved command of the clan to the massive warship CSV Paragod Zalman. He began the mission of reclaiming all lost Viper holdings and take control of others if the opportunity was presented. Defeating Clan Coyote for a large portion of their former holdings, Andrews would then strip all the enclaves and either abandon or destroy them, so that no other clan could claim them. Battles with Clan Goliath Scorpion would also raise the ire of the Ilkhan, as in June of 3073, Andrews viewed the Scorpions tainted as an entire clan, a perception that seemed vindicated when a warrior previously as part of the Eridani Light Horse Mercenary Company fired point blank into the cockpit of a Steel Viper mech during a trial of possession for 2 Viper enclaves. This event would bring them dangerously close to being reaved, but the vote in the Grand Council failed. Their time would come, however, when a battle would weaken the Scorpion naval power substantially, while losing several clusters of troops, including their Saw-Khan. Andrews would then target the Scorpions for reaving, citing the use of orbital bombardment, evidence of the taint within the Scorpion clan. In 3074, Vipers began landing their forces on Takasha, a world that had been lost to the Blackout years earlier. He would be surprised to find it almost completely inhabited by blood spirits, with very small populations of Hell's Horses and Goliath Scorpions, all of whom were currently engaged with each other. Calling a trial of possession, he would declare the blood spirits Desgra and unclean from the absorption of populations from other planets, foregoing Zelbriggen in battle. Calling out Khan Troy Bokez, insulting his lineage with taunts, Bokez met Andrews in a circle of equals. The bloody Ilkhan would achieve victory, slaughtering the remaining Hell's Horses and Goliath Scorpions remaining in the Krensky cluster, claiming everything for Steel Viper. As the HBG grid went back online in late 3074, Andrews was finally able to piece enough information together to have a clear picture of what happened during the blackout. Evidence from across the cluster showed one clan, that of Coyote, had betrayed them all and was supporting the Society and the Caste Rebellion. Amassing the majority of Steel Viper military, he ordered an all-out assault on the Coyote world of Tamaran. In what would be the biggest naval battle in clan space since Operation Klondike, Steel Vipers' fleet met the formidable defenses of Clan Coyote. Picking apart the Coyote fleet from range, Viper dropships led by Ilkhan Andrews darkened the skies of Tamaran with their forces. Locked in a heated battle, the 2 massive warships, one being the Zalman and the other Coyote warship called the Ancestral Home, dealt devastating blows to each other. In a last-ditch effort to hinder the Vipers, the Home engaged the KF drive, causing the ship to implode on itself, and the jump bubble around the ship captured half of the Zalman, ripping the other ship in half and rendered destroyed. In a week-long space battle, the Coyote forces surrendered with minimal survivors. While the battle above ended, the battle on the ground would take longer. Commanding 6 galaxies, Andrews led the Viper military to the capital city, taking production facilities along the way. The Coyotes would lose 3 galaxies before the fighting was done. One thing that came across as odd to the Ilkhan was reports of Coyote forces fighting Coyote forces. Noting the Coyotes had more forces than anticipated, he halted the advance, and instead called out the Coyote Khans. The result of the battle would leave Clan Coyote without their Khans, bringing the conflict to a close. After the conflict, it was revealed not all Coyote forces backed the Society, and were allowed to remain in their severely weakened state, with discussions in a future Grand Council meeting. In the early months of 3075, the Grand Council met aboard the McKenna's Pride due to the damage to the hull of the Khans on Strana Mekti. Recognizing clans Fire Mandrel and Ice Hellion as no more, Ilkhan Andrews motioned for clans Jade Falcon, Diamond Shark, Ghost Bear, and Snow Raven abjured due to their silence and absence during the Wars of Reaving. The motion was supported and passed by the council. He also reminded to all those present that ravings would be conducted on those with tainted blood names, again not elaborating on what taint means, leaving it up to personal interpretation. This again was supported by the council. Sakhan Gramani of the Steel Vipers brought the next motion, demanding Goliath Scorpion warriors who had contact with the Iridani Light Horse to be reaved. Khan Suvorov of the Scorpions argued passionately against this with success, as support from the Grand Council was in favor of the Scorpion defense. She would then inform the council of their absorption of the Ice Hellions. This angered the Steel Viper Khans, but Star Adder Khan and Bhuta defended the decision and was approved by the Grand Council without challenge. The next order of business was accusations of Clan Coyote's collusions with the Society, Dark Caste, and encouraging the caste rebellion. Many clans brought forth evidence of their dealings during the past 3 years. The first resolution was the annihilation of the Clan Coyote scientist caste. The second resolution was not as simple, as the Coyotes who were known to have collaborated with the Society were to be reaved, while those who did not would be exempt. The great majority of Coyotes fell between those lines. Ilkhan Andrews proposed a trial of cleansing, where a warrior in question would face the trial against a warrior deemed clean, with success the determining factor of guilt. Though the new Coyote Khans argued against the annihilation of their remaining scientists, the measure was passed and carried out within a month. On the 30th of April in 3075, another meeting took place. Ilkhan Andrews pointed out there was one last tainted clan among them, Hell's Horses. A galaxy commander from the Horses stood in place of their lore master, refuting the charges. Andrews presented evidence of the Hell's Horses' dealings with the exiled wolves, and in turn with the Calhounds mercenaries. The galaxy commander's only reaction was stating that the Hell's Horses in the homeworlds had never been to the inner sphere. Challenging, Andrews called for a trial of abjuration against the horses currently in the inner sphere, which passed by a slim majority. The trial of refusal was fought by Clan Star Adder, who accepted all Hell's Horses' assets in the homeworlds after their victory. In a surprise twist of events, Khan and Bhuta declared the existence of a new clan called Clan Stone Lion, bequeathing them the former Hell's Horses' assets and legacies, in essence protecting them from reaving in association with their former kind in the inner sphere. July 29th, 3075, another meeting aboard the McKenna's Pride. Ilkhan Andrews used the meeting to lay out his agenda for the upcoming years, suggesting an accelerated rebuilding program and moratorium on the clan eugenics program for at least 5 years. Andrews ordered all clans to take stock of the genetic legacies and screen them for further signs of tampering by the Society. In addition, the stoppage would allow scientists to determining if the environment was safe to restart the eugenics program in case of other dangers. He would also call for greater security of the breeding program, citing the destruction of the Kransky legacy years earlier. The bill came due when Star Adder Khan, Stanislav, and Bhuta stood and delivered an eloquent speech where he accused the Steel Vipers of being the final representation of the inner sphere taint among the homeworld clans. He ended the monologue by calling for a reaving against Clan Steel Viper. The motion was seconded by Star Adder Sakhan Hannibal Banachek, and a quick vote showed all present were in favor except for the Khans of Clan Blood Spirit. With his anger bubbling to the surface, Andrews demanded a trial of refusal and would fight unaugmented. Andrews drew a laser pistol and shot Bhuta in the head right where he stood. A great violation of clan rules and traditions, producing an augmented weapon when the fight was meant to be unaugmented, sealed his fate in the fate of the Vipers. Cloud Cobra Khan Halian Kardan stood and condemned the act as evidence of Steel Viper's corruption, calling for an immediate annihilation with nothing to be remaining of the clan. No Isorla, reavings, prisoners, bondsmen, nothing was to be left of Clan Steel Viper. Andrews demanded another trial of refusal. In response, Star Adder Sakhan Hannibal Banachek wrestled the former Ilkhan to the floor and bashed his skull in with the Star Adder ceremonial mask. The powerful strike sent shards of his skull into his brain, killing him instantly. Though he did not live to see it, Bret Andrews' actions condemned his clan to oblivion. The annihilation of the still powerful Vipers would be open to all remaining home clans. It came to be known later that Clan Star Adder would take hold of the Andrews blood heritage and sealed away. While the Wars of Reaving came to an end, the action of Reaving had not stopped, and would be used when necessary to purify and strengthen blood heritages in the years to come after the Steel Vipers were long dead. The power in clan space now shifted to Clan Starradder, with Hannibal Banachek becoming Khan and Ilkhan, with the homeworlds looking up to him to carry the clans to a new invasion of the Inner Sphere. However, he would step down and resume Khanship of Clan Starradder, as he pressed the right decision to the other clans to stop and rebuild themselves after the destruction. Then he would consider leading a new invasion. As the ashes began to settle, it was discovered in 3078 the Blood Spirits had survived. Knowing Clan Blood Spirit would never submit to being absorbed by their arch-nemesis Clan Starradder, the Adders instead opted for annihilation. The spirits armed all castes for the final fight as they battled the incredible power of the Staradders. Destroying everything, the Adders destroyed spirit genetic legacies and executed all members of the Blood Spirits, eradicating them entirely, leaving them but a figment of memory. Also in 3078, evidence reached the Grand Council that Clan Goliath Scorpion was integrating with the Inner Sphere through the breeding program to mix their genetics. The warriors in question were none other than former Iridani Light Horse mercenaries. Voting to abjure the Scorpions, it was done so slowly. The warriors that stayed to fight fought well, but were destroyed regardless. The Scorpions that left would move to conquer the periphery states of the Nouvelle Castile and Umayyad Caliphate to form the Escorpion Imperio. We now reach the true end of the Wars of Reaving, and look at what the future holds for those remaining. Taking a devastating toll in strength, economically and politically, all caches formerly left forgotten or stored were emptied by the clans to inflate their available equipment with whatever was left. Most blood chapels were damaged or destroyed as a method of eradicating Inner Sphere influences, including some repositories that never made it to the Inner Sphere were eradicated as well. Civilians were also not safe from Reavings, as millions were killed in the orbital bombardments from the war. Due to the role the Scientist caste played in the society during the war, the warriors of those clans had to purge their Scientist castes to ensure the society was long gone and dead. Clan society would be permanently split between the home clans and the invading clans, differing themselves as spheroid and homeworld clans. The spheroid clans pulled all they could from the homeworlds and settled in the Inner Sphere, creating their own grand council called the Council of Six, consisting of clans Wolf, Jade Falcon, Ghost Bear, Hell's Horses, Diamond Shark, and Snow Raven, all under the belief the homeworlds were twisted with jealousy. Their first order of business was to cut off all contact with the homeworlds, excluding bandit clans such as the Nova Cats, Exiled Wolves, and pockets of former Smoke Jaguar warriors still around in the Inner Sphere, either lost or integrated as bondsmen to the Inner Sphere. The home clans, believing their brethren had been corrupted by their contact with the Inner Sphere, created new philosophies to replace the Wardens and Crusaders, calling themselves Bastions and Aggressors. It would go so far as to destroy any mechs and equipment associated with the invading or abjured clans. As for the homeworld clans that survived, there would be many shifts still to come that would end in 3090 with only 4 clans remaining by the end of that year. Clan Starradder emerged the most powerful of the clans at the end of the Wars of Reaving. As for the other clans from the start of the wars to the end of 3090, 7 would be abjured, 2 absorbed, and 2 annihilated. And as for the war itself, it did the one thing the Inner Sphere fought so hard to achieve. It would keep the home clans out of the Inner Sphere permanently. Thank you guys so much for watching this incredibly long and detailed video. I know things were kind of disjointed at times, but if I had written everything chronologically, it would be even more so. So I appreciate you guys sticking through that, and hopefully everything made sense, as I did my best to do just that. With the Wars of Reaving, this brings us to the end of the mainline clan story. Basically, the home clans are done in current canon. And we can now shift our attention to the spheroid clans and their dealings with Inner Sphere politics, since they are now there and living there. Don't know when that will be, but it hopefully will be soon. So with that, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for sticking with this lore series that I have put a lot of work and time into, and will continue to do so until there's no more content left to cover. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.